This may not sound very profound, and it's likely something you've heard before, but I'm going to explain success to you in a way you've never heard before. The road to success, the path to success is not linear. Like I said, you've probably heard this before, right? However, how it's usually taught is success kind of goes like this. You're going up, but like you have little dips in the road. You might do like a little turn here and a little turn here, but you're going up. That's actually not how success is created. That is how you stay in survival mode. You see, the whole notion that success is this linear, logical path is something that was created in the old paradigm. If you think about the school system is such a perfect example of really training all of us to think that progress is linear. You go from one grade to the next, to the next, to the next. It's all this beautiful succession, this beautiful path. And then, of course, if you get into the corporate system, that's even reinforced even more. You want to get to the next level, you've got to do this. You want to get to the next level, you've got to do this. There's all these strategies and things you must do, achieve, pass to get to the next level of the game. Well, that is a complete distortion, okay? That's not actually how success works. That is how you keep yourself in survival mode, okay? That is actually the path to survival mode. So many people I see right now are trying to live life on their own terms, have quantum levels of success, completely change their reality, be free, be liberated, be abundant. But they're still thinking there's this logical linear path. And in this video today, I'm going to explain how success actually works. What does the path actually look like if you are wanting to create it on your own terms? Like I said, free, liberated, whatever that looks like for you in whatever area of life that works for you. It could be all areas of life. And in some ways, I think it often is. Because once we touch one area of our life, we want to start working on the other ones, right? And they all interlink. They're not all separate like we've taught they are. Your health affects your money. All these things are all interlinked, right? So I'm going to go deep into how do you actually create success. This is actually what I do with my clients. So because this path of success is so foreign, it is so new to most people, it takes a while to get a hang of. And when I say a while, it can take a few years. It gets easier and easier and easier as you keep going on the path. But when you think about it, depending on how old you are, you've been living in a reality that's told you this is how success works, right? And it's literally changing the entire path, the entire journey. So that like the first step you take is going to be different than the first step you take the old way versus the new way, right? I'm just going to call it the old and the new, just to kind of keep it simple for this video here today. So it takes a while to get into this new rhythm. Now, this is not something that is taught. I've never had it really explained to me. I've had parts of it explained to me, and then my life, my work, everything I do is trial and error. Okay, so it's trying this way, seeing what's worked, seeing what doesn't work, adding the quantum mechanic principles in it. I always use energy in everything I do, and energy supports everything I do because at the end of the day, energy is what matters. We can't go against those principles. They're always in play. They're always in motion. It's just whether we know what they are and are we leveraging them. And I want you to use and leverage quantum mechanics. So I absolutely do that in everything I do. Okay. So before I dive into the new way, the way it really works, I guess it's really the way it works. I should probably call it that instead. But before I dive into that, I really want to talk about what the old system taught you, taught all of us. So again, it started in school. You go from grade 1 to 2 to 3, and you just keep going on. And there's these certain requirements that you have to meet. It might be passing a certain test. It might be, getting some sort of like a qualification of some sort, right? Then you may have gone to college or university, same thing. You've got your first year courses, your second year courses, or your first year of the program, second year of a program you took, right? It's this beautiful progression. And you feel like you're getting somewhere. Often what happens in this old system is because it's laid out as this logical, linear, beautiful path, you have the sense that you're getting somewhere, right? And as you're moving along, you are seeing progress. You're seeing things happen the way you expect them to, right? And then if you get into a job, any kind of job, there are requirements, right? You've got to meet these requirements just to get the job. And then if you want to get a promotion, you have to do these things. So now when you're in that system, it's always about what do you need to do next? What do you need to do next, right? You know this, you've been living this. And so if you want to get to the next level, say at some point you're like, okay, I want to get a promotion. I want to get a raise. I want to, in some other area of your life, whether it's that, or I want to have better health, or I want to have better this or better that, whatever it is. Okay. What you do is you look for an action step. That's what you do. That's what we've been trained to do. What do I need to do? If it's work, do I need to get a certification? Do I need to take a course? Do I need to do this? Do I need to show up more at work? Do I need to prove myself more? Do I need to take on more projects, right? If it's your health, it's like, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to go on a diet? Do I need to start training? You start looking at all these strategies, right? And it's not to say strategies are wrong. It's never to say strategies are wrong. You need strategies and you need to take action. The problem is it's at the wrong place, okay? So what the old system taught you is it's all about taking action, and you get to the next level. Take more action, you get to the next level. Now, the problem with this is you can get to the next level, okay? Absolutely. But what happens in this process is you don't usually feel any different. Not really. You might feel different in a moment. So say you're working for a promotion, you might be like, oh my God, I got it. You feel amazing in that moment. But then you realize, well, I'm getting more pay, but I'm actually got more stress. I have to work longer hours. So you don't actually ever feel like you've gotten ahead. Or maybe if you say it's your health, say you've done all these things, but now you're discovering like, I can't eat this. I can't do this. I may be fitter, I may be thinner, or whatever it is you're looking to be, but I don't actually feel more like vitality. I don't feel freer. I just feel like all these rules I have to follow, all these strategies that I have to keep doing. It's exhausting. That's the problem with the old paradigm, is you can keep going and keep doing things until the cows come home. But the real test is, do you feel better? Do you feel freer? Do you feel more successful? Do you feel more abundant? Do you feel more joyful? Do you feel more alive? Do you feel more engaged with your life? Most of the time, the answer is no. We've just changed a few things in our lives. But it's like we're not really getting anywhere. We're still in survival mode. We're still looking to the next thing. We're still chasing. We're still proving. We're still doing all those things. And what you have to see is the old paradigm, that path was never, like the destination was never freedom. The destination was never abundance. The destination was never actually getting ahead. The destination has always been the next thing. It's always needing to get the next thing. The ultimate reason and the really objective of that path of linear progression is survival mode. It was never meant to lead you to what you want. It was always meant to lead you to survival mode, output, doing more, giving more, just more of you, always being required. Always more of you. And you know that you can feel it. But I have some good news. That's not the new paradigm. And that's actually not how success is really created. And I want to really emphasize that that was all a distortion, what we were taught. That was all a distortion. It was a fabricated system. It wasn't actually the truth. It's not in alignment with quantum mechanics, the way it really works in this world. And if you look really carefully, I'll call them 1%, 2%, 5% in this world, they don't follow that path, right? I always say, look at the evidence. People are so married to old ways of doing things. And I'll always say, is it working? Not just for you, but is it working for the majority of people? And if it's not, it is time to start questioning ways of doing things at a deep and profound level. Like when I radically changed my life, I didn't need to look out at the rest of the world. I just went, it's not working for me. But sometimes we have to look, hey, it's not working for me. Is there something wrong with me? Or is it just it's just a bad rules? Or is it just bad principles and bad ways of doing things that don't actually work? The thing with the old paradigm is it worked. It worked. It worked to keep you in survival mode. It was never built for your evolution and your abundance and everything else. It actually was working perfectly. The new paradigm is about you. First of all, I want to say this, and I want you to really receive it deeply. It is about you. What do you want? What do you desire? What did your soul come here for? That path is not logical. It is not linear. It is not going to look pretty on paper. It is not going to make sense to anybody. And it won't even make sense to you when you're in it. When you're creating success, how it's meant to be created, the new way, it actually won't make sense to you either along the way. So I'm going to explain what this looks like, because what it really is, it's a circle. It's really a spiral because you're always going up. But I really want to focus on the fact that it's actually a circle. So if you can think of it this way, the path to success, the new way, is a bunch of circles. And they're distinct, okay? They run into each other, yes. But there are these distinct circles, okay? So just if you could visualize that right now more than anything. It's not this path like this. There are circles. So what that really means is like there's a beginning and there's an end of a phase. There's a beginning and end of a phase. There's a beginning and end of a phase. The other path just told you just kind of keep going. Not the new way, not the way it's meant to be. So it's circles. And like I said, they do bleed into each other. Okay, I don't want you to think they're completely separate, but in many ways they are. The biggest quantum leaps in my life, I can actually isolate. Like I can actually isolate into the circle when it started, how it happened, when it completed, and then I jumped, because that's what it really is. You want to be jumping to the next level. You don't want to be slogging along on this linear path that never gets you there. Quantum leaps, this is what we want, right? Okay, so it's a circle. So this is how it goes, okay? The first part of this is you've decided, I want more. There's something else I want in my life, whether it's a certain area, it usually is, but again, they all bleed into each other at some point, they all overlap. You decide at some point you want something. Now, again, the old way is going to be pick a strategy. The new way now is, first of all, really anchoring in what you want. It doesn't have to make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. And in fact, often I say, don't share those wants with anybody else right away, unless it's somebody you really, really trust. What you want to first of all is really, really anchor into what it is you want. Okay? And commit to it. Decide. Make a declaration. Like you've got to really commit to it. Not kind of go, I kind of want this if it works out. I'm going to try for it. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. It might not work. I mean, you need to anchor into it. Like this is happening. You make a declaration. You state it. You command this is happening. Because what I'm going to tell you happens next is really, really important. When you decide, you command this is happening, you declare it, energetically, things start to shift. And this is so important. And they're not going to shift the way you think they are, or maybe how you hope they are. Because what has to happen first is if you were the person, okay, if you were the person that this thing could happen for, you would already have it. Okay? I don't mean credentials. I don't mean qualifications. I don't mean skills. I mean, if you were the person, identity, your frequency, your energy, the amount of clearing you've done, the amount of embodiment you have done, if you were that person already, you'd have it. So what this means is you're not yet the person you need to be to have what you want. That's cool. It's not a fault on your part. It's just your reality is matching your identity at all times, right? So what happens when you declare, line in the sand, throw your gauntlet down, is the universe goes, okay, great. Love that for you. But we're now going to show you absolutely everything that's in the way of you getting to that next level. Everything that's in the way. So here you are, the old way, thinking, I've got to take steps. That's not how this goes now. What's going to happen is you are going to be shown every single little thing that's in your way. Most people think they're doing something wrong. They're like, I made a declaration. Oh my God, everything fell apart. Yeah, because that stuff can't come with you. That's your old identity. That's the old you. That's the old life. You've heard before, your new life is going to cost you your old life. That's what's happening here. And this is where most people give up. They're like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. I'm trying to get ahead and all this crap's coming at me. Like, it feels like you're being tested. And in some ways you are, but it really is. Life is showing you what can't come with you. It's going to show you all your habits. It's going to show you all your patterns, all your belief sets, all the people, all the experiences, all the everything that can't come with you. It's your choice at that point what you want to do with it. Like I said, most people don't think this should be happening, and so they give up. Like they think there's something wrong. Like this shouldn't be happening. I want to take a step. I want the fun stuff. What step can I take? All of a sudden you're throwing all this garbage and you're like, I don't want to deal with it. You're right on track. You're so right on track. Because what you're actually doing is you're creating a new identity for yourself. So you really have to think of it that way. So to move to the next level, right, to complete this circle, this is all about identity. You've heard this before, but I'm going to explain it in a way you've never heard before. Because it's not always like you choose that new identity right away. You choose what you want. And by choosing what you want, it's like an automatic, this is the identity, this is who you need to be. You don't need to label it as anything. I have clients often ask me, like, do I call myself something? And I'm like, you can pick a name for yourself. You can pick an amount of money you want. You can pick the relationship that you want. It doesn't really matter. You can call yourself something. Like you can call it your future self. You can call it your $100,000 a year self. You can call it your successful, happy self. Like pick a name if you want. It doesn't really matter. By you choosing what you want, you are choosing the identity. And life is going to show you everything that's in the way. It's just the way it goes. And that next phase is really about you navigating this. Okay? What it's all about is going, okay, so for me to have this next level that I want, how would a person respond? How would a person react? How would a person interact with all of these things? So you've got a friend who's pushing your boundaries, who's you've put up a boundary before, and that person is disrespecting your boundaries. And the old you would have been, it's not worth it. I just don't feel like arguing. Whatever, it's not that important. To get to that next level, you maybe can't do that anymore. And you're going to have to deal with this. That's your choice whether you deal with it or not. Okay, you can go either way. Like I'm not here to tell you what way to go. I'm here to tell you that if you want that next level, you have to deal with that boundary issue. And you may be thinking to yourself, but I'm trying to manifest more money. What's this got to do with this? Like it's just so random. It's not. Remember, this whole idea that we are separate people, like really in separate parts of our life, is an old construct that was created. It's not true. We're energy. You're one energy field. Like you're it. How you are over here is how you are over here. If you're all of a sudden being showing boundary issues with friendships, it's because it is somehow affecting your money, right? Because chances are you don't have boundaries when it comes to money either. And so if you just ignore this thing over here, thinking it's completely unrelated, you're never going to get to the next level. And then you're going to be like, well, why am I not manifesting money? Okay, I'm going to look at my beliefs and mindset about money, or I'm going to look at how to invest, or I'm going to do all these things. And the universe is going, over here, over here, over here. But because it doesn't look logical and pretty, again, what we were taught, you're just going to throw it away unless you know. And now you know, because I'm telling you, those things are related. And what I find so funny and so incredible is it often happens in threes, not all the time. But sometimes things will happen in threes. All of a sudden, 3 instances that look the same energetically will show up. So you'll have 3 instances of friends who are pushing your boundaries, or 3 instances of just boundaries being pushed, or three instances where you're having to speak up for yourself. Like you'll all of a sudden have these little pockets. And what I love is sometimes they're like in a condensed period of time. Like I've had this happen where it's like over 3 days. I have the wildest, craziest things happen. And I'm sitting there going, like, what the heck? Like, what the heck just happened? And I know what it is, right? And I laugh now because I'm like, passed that test. Like we cleared that. It's test, clearing, whatever you want to call it. I've changed. I've moved into the next identity. I've become a person who responds differently to what happened, to what came at me. Because what you're doing is you are changing your identity right in every now moment. And again, don't try to make sense of it. Don't try to make it related. Don't try to do any of it because there's things you can't possibly understand. It's not going to make sense to you. This is why I do what I do. This is a lot of the work that I do with my clients because I talk about it now, and I've been doing this for so long now, like in my own life, that I see it, I know what's going on, I know how to handle it. But if you've never navigated this before, and when you first start doing this work, sometimes it's a lot of tests, right? Because when you've been disempowered your whole life, which most people have, and this is with like me at the beginning of my journey, a lot of stuff can come up. And so being able to hold your vision, hold it while everything, because it does kind of feel like life is sometimes coming at you. You're just like, I just want to get to the next level. And you're like, I'm not getting there, right? Until, of course, this is how this goes. And then knowing how to navigate it. But this is the work I do with my clients because this is very foreign. It's like, how do you create this new person? One of the things, I just want to share this, I've noticed this with myself over the last number of years is when I decide that I want a new level and I'm moving into this next identity, what I will often do is I will try to find somebody who has embodied that next level, not to learn from them in terms of like personal development. Like, what are their habits? How do they think? How do they live? How do they like make decisions? And this is often, I found this so fascinating over the years, is my clients will often ask me this. Like, how do you do this? Because when you're creating a new identity, it's like how you approach life, how you do everything has to change. But how do you know how to do that if you've never done it before, right? So this is part of this. It's like, well, how do I actually be a different person when I've never been a different person? This is why I do what I do, because we need something modeled to us. And this is I'll call it the challenge, but I think it's more of a blind spot that you need to be aware of. It's like, how do you even know? Like, how do people think differently? Because you're in your own head. You're the only one who's had your own experiences. Like, how does somebody else think? How do they live their life? How do they make decisions, right? Because this is the work that you're actually doing, okay? And so you keep doing that and you keep doing that and you keep doing that. And you have to keep doing that while you may not see anything being manifested. This is why people give up, because they're being bombarded with all this stuff that doesn't feel good. They don't love it. It's uncomfortable. And they're like, I'm not even getting what I want. What's the point? It doesn't look like it's supposed to look. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to feel. Like the old system, it gave you those nice little markers. It said you're on the right track. Everybody else is doing it. You could see other people succeeding the way you're doing it. It felt really good, even though you may have not loved it at all times. There was this feeling like I'm on track. The new way, you're not going to get that. Like I'm being so brutally honest because what I see is people's expectations very much differ from how this reality really works. And it's not to discourage you. I wouldn't be here talking about this if it wasn't worth it. But there were many times in my journey, and many times I've seen with clients, when we think we're doing something wrong because it doesn't look the way we think it should. That's not true. Just because something looks like it's a mess or doesn't make any sense to your logical brain does not mean you are not on track. It's working the way it's supposed to. Remember I said the old way, keeping you in survival mode, is working the way it's supposed to? I'm telling you how this way works. This is how it's supposed to work. It's not supposed to make sense because you're now dealing with energy, which you were never taught. None of us were. Because you always have to think, once you declare something new, the quantum particles completely start rearranging. When you live the same life year after year, which is what most people do, okay? When you're on the logical linear path, it's the same life. It looks a little different, but it doesn't feel any different, which means it's the same life. The quantum particles follow the same patterns over and over and over and over and over again. This is why people love that in some ways, because there's this consistency, there's this safety. Once you declare a freaking whole new reality that you want, the quantum particles go, they go crazy. They're like, oh, you want a new reality? We got to fucking rearrange everything. And so this is why people panic. It's like, well, it's not supposed to do that. Yeah, it is. That's actually what you want. When I see these tests come up, I get so excited. They're always the weirdest thing, like I said. They're interesting. I'll tell you that much. Because you're like, where did this come from? The quantum particles have just done a whole different number because that's what they're supposed to do. You want them to do that. Your work in all of this, holding the vision, holding the line, following through, and not going back to your old ways. That's how you do it. Even when you don't see results, even when it feels crazy, even when you're just like, what the hell is going on? You have to keep going. If you want that next level where you feel different, you don't just have the same experience with different window dressing, where you actually have a different life, where you experience your days different, your life different, you wake up in the morning feeling different, you have different experiences, things happen easier, but you have to get through this. And then what happens is things start to manifest eventually. Okay? Eventually. And then what happens? That cycle completes. Now, it may not all manifest. I want to be really clear here. You may not get exactly what you want. That doesn't mean it's not working. It may mean there's more to do. It may mean there's another area of your life that needs to come in. But what I can tell you is you will feel completely different. You may not have quite the physical manifestations yet, but you will have changed as a person, and that is what you wanted. Okay, we can't always control the physical manifestations because there's other people involved, there's other situations involved. We don't have control on that. You have to trust that it's happening. You have to trust that it's happening. Now, what happens then when you finish this, and even if it's not yet manifested quite fully in the 3D, what starts to happen when you've completed this cycle is you may start to feel bored. You might start to feel disengaged with your life. You may start just to feel like, I'm just not enjoying my life anymore. And it's because you're being called into the next level. And you go through that pattern again, and then you do that again, and you do that again, and the manifestations start coming and rolling and rolling. You keep going and going and going. And this is when you start to go, life starts to go up. Okay. It's not linear, but it starts to go up, meaning it's slower at first because you're having to clear a lot of stuff. You're having to do a lot of deeper identity work, right? When you go from the old paradigm, which is complete disempowerment, following the rules, giving all your sovereignty, giving all your power away, to creating a life where you're fully empowered, you've reclaimed your power fully, and you're sovereign and you're free and you're abundant, that's some big steps, right? And the first part tends to be the most kind of clearing of the past. But a lot of people give up. And that's your choice. Totally. I'm not here to tell you what you do ever. I value your sovereignty and your free will far too much. I only work with people who really want this, who are like, yes, I'm in. I'm scared. I'm scared, but I'm still willing to do it. But this is the pattern. And then your life starts to change. And then you look back and you're like, what happened? The goal of all of this is Yes, manifestation, 100%. It's becoming a new person. The outside world, manifesting, cannot make you a new person. You have to become the new person first. This is how this goes. This is the journey. All right, beautiful soul. I hope this was super helpful. I'd love to hear your comments. Share, like, subscribe. And obviously, too, I've got links down below to various courses, programs. I've got your Reclaim Your Power masterclass, which could be a great way into this. Also, what comes to mind is the Energetics of Success, a really powerful masterclass as well. I really get into the energetics. Quantum mechanics is so important in all of this. And if you're ready, if you're like, it's time, I'm scared, I don't know what's next, I don't know, I need that next level, I want it, fire me off a message. I'm going to put my email down there below as well, and we can talk about your options. This is the work I do. I love it. So much of this is knowing where you are in that circle and knowing what to do. Like, how do you keep going within that circle then to get to that next circle of that next quantum leap? That's really what a lot of work is just, where am I in this circle? What does this mean I need to do? And how do I keep moving forward? And what's really beautiful about all of this is your feelings are a big indicator. And that's a big part of this process when you start to realize that your feelings actually tell you where you are in all of this. We've been so taught to ignore our feelings, that it's not important. It's all logic, it's all brain, but I'm here to tell you it's not. To get to quantum leaps, you want to be more in touch with your feelings, right? Because think about it. You don't want the next level to feel the same. You want the next level to feel different. So being in touch with how you feel at all times in this is one of the most important pieces. All right, beautiful soul. I hope this was super helpful, and I will talk to you soon.